All right, guys, here we are for the first match of the Super League Cup against Saint-Étienne on the road. As you can see, we have another full house in front of us. This should be hopefully a much easier match than that Real Madrid loss yesterday was. And so we'll see what we can do. We'll see if we can avenge that loss and start this cup campaign off with a rousing and very positive start. After this, we do have a week off for the international break. Of course, most of our players are going to be playing as part of that break, so it's not going to be quite as restful as we might think. And Casemiro is able to go over there, win the ball, and then the highlights stop. So whatever's going on, these guys are not giving me a lot of highlights to talk about, and that's been a problem for a little while. Let's see if we can get this ball back. Mason Mount, who is not going to be picked for the England side, headed that one away. Their press is saying that Mason Mount needs to play it much, much better if he's going to have a chance of playing internationally, and that was definitely not an example of playing much better. Pogba over to Casemiro, and so the Segundo Volantes end up making that goal, and that makes it 1-0 for Manchester United here early on. Mason Mount here just sort of gives up on this, and doesn't do anything with it after he gets up. He doesn't even get the ball, and so it ends up being our boys from the back who put it into the front, and it's 1-0 Manchester United. And I have to ask where that was yesterday. How come we didn't see that stuff? So we'll see what happens. The one we're paying attention to, of course, is Jadon Sancho, since Ronaldo is still injured. We could put Ronaldo on. I don't know if I really want to, but we could if necessary. Mount with this ball, back to Best, to Law, back to Best over to De Vici, over to Pogba, and his shot is high and wide. And so we have to go back on our defensive foot now and see what we can figure out. Now it's De Vici with it, over to Bauer, Casemiro to Mount, down to Pogba, back to Mount, and that was really poor from Mason Mount. So I'll tell you, Mason Mount playing this way, if I get an offer for him, I'm just going to sell him. There's no reason to not sell him if he's going to play like that. De Vici over to Bauer. Bauer controls it. Bottom left side over to Mount, now to Best. Best forward to Mount. Here you go. He passes over to Pogba, and that really should have been a goal. Very, very good job that time by Mason Mount, who I think is probably listening and can tell that I'm less than thrilled with the way that he's been playing. So this was much, much better, and at least was positive, even if there was no goal behind it. Makes me think that we actually are able to play with this side that really we should be wiping the floor with. Pogba does win this, and now he loses it in the end. So Pogba having some problems. Remember, here he's only 17. So he's trying to sort of get his feet under him, and that is the way it is for some of these players, though not for those in the back, by the way. Those defenders we brought in, the Italian ones, really are a little bit older and should be playing better than they are, and we shouldn't be giving up chances like that. Perhaps it is something to do with the tactic. I still am not quite to the point where I can completely write that possibility off, and here's Bowl wide open for the goal, and what happened there in the back. So that was very, very concerning, and I mean, this is a match we should be easily winning. I mean, what is going on? How are we not playing defense here? Why do we have two guys standing up there around the same player? Nobody notices the other guy. I mean, nobody's even close to him. So, I mean, don't understand exactly what's going on. This is funny because the assistant manager told me that we probably should be playing an attacking mentality here in this match, and we didn't. I thought we'd hold back a little bit and play a little bit more conservatively, and it doesn't matter anyway. We're still letting in goals at the back. Law, and that's a good shot from Dennis Law. It just didn't quite go in, so it remains 1-1. And we have another corner to worry about. And, of course, Sancho is going to have to come off here at halftime. I was just thinking about that. Bauer heads this one back, looking for Fernandez. Doesn't get to him. And then Bauer is able to win it again. Pogba to Yashin, and this is lumped forward for nobody. So not really much of an attack there. A little bit too much too quickly, I think. Casemiro with this now over to Law. Law passes back to Casemiro. It's an awful pass. So, I mean, it's out for a corner, but we should have been able to score that without having to force a corner. That's also very concerning. We're having a hard time figuring out where each other is, and Mason Mount winds up with this at the end. This is one of the problems with these saves where you come into a big club and you try to change a whole bunch of stuff because you end up with no team cohesion. You can see it right there as well. Pogba let that ball go right through his feet. De Vici, Pogba, Casemiro. over to Sancho. Sancho on over to Mason Mount, and he scored a goal. So Mason Mount, assuming that was not offside, looks like it was not. Mason Mount finally doing something good and hoping he can get back into that England side as quickly as he possibly can. He had a really rough beginning to this match, but that was much, much better. Sancho here sees what's happening. I mean, you can just hammer it in. There are three guys there and one of them will take it. It ends up being Mount, and that makes it 2-1 Manchester United. That's a little bit more like it. And Sancho, as a result, ends up with a good match. He's going to come off at halftime, as I said. Best looks for Mount, finds him, and that is deflected out for another corner. I'd love to start Pele in every single match, but we can't do that. I mean, he is human. He has to rest every once in a while, and that's the problem that we have. Trésor almost scores a goal. He does win that header, and it ends up just high of goal, and we are off to halftime. So 2-1 Manchester United, which is okay, although I do think we could do a little bit more. And let's see what we can do here. We want to take off Jadon Sancho, who's tired. We'll put Monseglio on. I mean, the thing is, we could put Ronaldo on. He's coming back to fitness in 6 days, so I'd rather not. I'd rather keep him on the bench. We'll put... actually, there's another thing that we could do if we wanted Pele on. What we could do here, and this might be the best idea, is we'll switch these two. So Best will go over there. And we'll put Pele on here. Might as well stick him on somewhere. And then Bruno Fernandes, who's not having a good match, will come off from Maradona, and we'll see what we can do there. So Fernandes has been rumored with a move to FC Bayern for something like 60 million euros. If they would pay that up front, I might actually sell him. Because if we can get some money in for him, we might be able to do something to try to bolster up our defenses a little bit. The problem, of course, as you know, is that I sold all of our young players, so we kind of have to make do with what we have in the first team. We don't have anybody else coming up because they are either on loan or are completely gone, and a lot of them I wouldn't want to play anyway because they're not consistent. We gave up the ball far too easily, and now we're having a hard time winning it back. I'm not quite sure what kind of defensive formation this is. Looks like we're trying to gegenpress, but we're not doing a particularly good job of it. Instead, it looks like we're kind of running around from place to place. You ever seen like 5 or 6-year-old kids play soccer, and they're all running around after the ball with no formation at all? That's what we look like on defense. And here's Best winning that one finally to De Vici, to Trésor, over to Maradona. And Diego takes control over to Mount, and it's off the back of his head. So Mason Mount makes another mistake. He scored a goal. I can't get too mad at him, but what was that? That was ridiculous. That was ridiculous. The defender wasn't anywhere close to him, and it hits off the back of his head. Mount then wins it back. I mean, this guy, he'll do like something incredible, and then he'll do something incredibly stupid the next minute. Pele wins this in the air, but wins it to nobody, and we're still having some struggles there up front. Mason Mount has an 8.4 rating, and he hasn't done anything other than the one goal. Trésor here with the ball, over to Law, down to Casemiro, and his shot is from within range, but it's too hard, and we're trying a little bit too hard to force it, I would say. Law, and he loses it, and now we have to watch out for a counterattack. And there it is. Ooh, and Bull just missed that one. How did he miss that shot? So this has been kind of a comedy of errors sort of here by both teams. Bowley, ends up missing this wide open shot with the full-on net in front of him, and he missed it badly. So, I'm not sure what to think. Here's another free kick for them, and it's Mount who jumps up to win that over to Law. Down to Casemiro, who's just standing there all alone, waiting and waiting. Casemiro up to Maradona, and he shoots, and that's off a defender. Maradona needs to go a little bit further in, needs to use his speed. Here's Maradona again, and that is just off of the top of the goal, and so nothing happening there. The problem with having Pele play there on the left side, of course, is that he's not really that much of a defensive player, which is kind of what we need. Maradona here with the corner, looking for Trésor, can't find him. It's Bauer over to, ends up in the back with Mount. Trésor again. Over to Pele. Let's set it up again. Pogba, Trésor, down to De Vici, over to Pogba. Pogba lumps this up, looking for Mount, can't find him, and that was a pretty poor attempt at passing that forward. Best now with it. Best to split the defense apart over to Law, and Law scores easily. He made that one look like he was born scoring goals like that. That makes it 3-1. That's a little bit more like it. That's more of the type of goal that I was expecting us to score, right? Instead of this weird thing where we're kind of trying to blast it in from, 30-something yards away. We like to see us run up like this, get the keeper out of position, and then just scoot the ball on by him and score easily and make it look like it was a piece of cake. When you look at this move forward, he's clearly onside. There's no question at all because the man's standing right in front of him. And then he's got a wide open path to goal. Very, very well done. 3-1 Manchester United. Maradona back to Best. Best over to Tresor, down to De Vici, Pogba, Mount, up to Best on that right side. And he passes down to Maradona. Maradona over to Best again. Best is trying to take a shot in his own. I was going to say, just knock it towards the middle. Who knows what's going to happen, right? You have a whole bunch of red shirts standing right in the middle. That's what I wanted to see, but there was nobody there that time. Best tries again and ends up having that deflected back for a corner. So we continue to pile on the pressure here. Tresor is going to have to come off, but I don't know if I want to put Eriksson on. This sounds like a bad exchange. So we will make a change here. Tresor is very tired. I think it's going to be Monseglio is going to come on for him, and we'll leave it at that. All right, we're approaching the 70th minute here, 3-1 Manchester United. And it's quiet, which is good. We're happy with the 3-1 victory. We don't have to blow every team out of the water. We're happy just keeping it the way that it is. Do not score another goal, and please do not bring us to extra time or any sort of ridiculousness because we're already really, really tired, and we need to get to this international break, even though most of these players are going to be playing in it. Here's Pele. And look at Pele go, and then he just gives up possession just like that. Law tries to find Maradona, can't. Ends up with Bauer. Bauer walks it forward to Mount, down to Pele. Pele all the way over to George Best, to Pogba. Pogba dances with it, finds Maradona, and there's a shot that had no mustard on it. So 3-1, the score remains. You think that getting Maradona here in this position is a automatic goal, but not quite. He just doesn't get anything on the shot, and we do need to work a little bit harder, I think, in training to get him up to what his full potential really is. Pogba with it, and he just stands there and lets Bolli take the ball away from him. So this is going to be a problem, and there's a shot that, fortunately for us, is wide of goal. So the score does remain 3-1. As I said, I mean, this is what we're expecting. We would expect to be able to come out and to somewhat dominate and to win a game by a somewhat large margin. Pele here with it. Good offensive position, which of course we know is what he likes, and it's over to Law as it goes through Mount, and that's knocked back for a corner. We have about 7 minutes left. Here's Maradona, who's going to take this corner, and steps back and he fires, ends up off of De Vici's head and going nowhere but back. Best with it now, over to De Vici. Monseglio. On to Pele, and that will reset this. Pele, of course, is on the wrong side of the pitch. I'm not convinced that he actually knows how to play the position we're having him play in, but as long as he can do stuff like this, I think we're fine. Mount, that's the second time that we've seen him, I think today, just go down for no reason. So I'm not sure if they're trying to rough him up or if he is just having a hard time standing up. Bauer back to Leviashin. We'll set it up again. De Vici. On to Casemiro, to Monseglio. Pogba at Best. Best fakes, and then just gives up the ball. Still trying to get used to playing that position. And here's Monconduit, who scores the easiest goal I think you'll ever see. And we are in trouble now. That was really, really poor here from the back. That was really poor. Look at how he's able to get through everybody, and then there's just nobody back there to help. So, yeah, not very good. We try to have guys at least somewhat back, and we hope to have the sweeper keeper help to protect, and it didn't happen there. And now we have to make sure we can hold on because we do not want to go to anything extra. No penalties, no extra time, no nothing. I don't care if we don't score. I just want to make sure that we don't let them score. There's Chambo over Pele, wins it back, knocks it as far back as he can, which isn't very far. And Leviashin ends up jumping up and grabbing that one. I think he knows how much time is left, but he just lumps this forward as far as he possibly can, trying to take a shot from our goal to theirs, and of course it doesn't quite work. And that is the final whistle. That, I think, came a little bit early. I wasn't paying that much attention to the clock. We had a 3.84 XG, so we clearly dominated. We were the dominant team here, 62% of the possession, but the counterattack keeps getting us. 3-2 the final. That was a lot closer than it needed to be. I'll talk with you again tomorrow. Bye.